So I just recently found out that Scottzone was suspended off of Twitch for 30 days. Now, how that came to me is through Work2Games, who, by Brian, thank you Brian, and thank you both of you for doing what you do in the community. But Scott, they told me that Scottzone was suspended from Twitch because somebody went ahead and white knighted for Final Fantasy XIV, as though 14 really needed this whole bunch of people to defend it. 14 is a good game on itself, but it's not for everybody. It's not going to be for every single person who tries the game out, even though they do the free trial, and if they don't like the game, they don't like the game. In this case, Scott, new to the community, right? But he's been brought in, he's welcomed in, he was brought here, this is his home now. He was dissatisfied with the content of Eden because it wasn't enough. He wanted more, you know? There was only 4 raid bosses for him and for all of us, and he thought there could have been more. Now, people went ahead, had this criticism of Scott, right? Because he did not like his criticism of Eden. This somehow turned on its head where people actually defended the game to the point where they got him suspended off of Twitch due to violation of terms of service and spreading personal information, which that didn't happen, and he got suspended from Twitch, and I hope he can get that fixed as soon as possible. Now, I don't personally know Scott. Honestly, I want to get to know Scott. I want to honestly talk to him and, you know, exchange ideas, have banters with him, because he seems like a great guy. I do know Work2Games, Brian and Chris, and I have talked to them before. I know that they are nice people, and what they say and when they put things out is for good intentions. So when I see a rant coming out on their video, I think people should actually, you know, watch and listen to what they say. To bring this home though, Scott's situation is kind of unique to me because I've never seen anybody get suspended off of Twitch because of having an opinion like that. This isn't a unique situation at all, because people get suspended off of Twitch all the time for having an opinion, right? But in the Final Fantasy XIV community, I thought we were a lot better than that. I thought we were very homely, very humble. I thought we were better than people from World of Warcraft. I thought we were better than people from like Dota or League of Legends. I thought we were better people than that. But it's been a thing since Heaven's Word where we had white knights and elitists trying to defend the game and how the game should be played. Now, this is more in the terms of, you know, white knighting. You don't have to defend 14. 14, as long as somebody gets a taste of it and they can give their own opinion about it, how they may like or dislike 14. If they don't like it, okay, they don't like it. It's not their game. But if someone comes up and criticizes the game and tries to say that, you know, people are getting sucked into the game because they need to spend money for leveling and getting past it, like what the Lazy Peon, for example, did, that the whole community goes up and kind of just like, Peon, no, you're not playing the game. You should probably play it the right way. And that's basically what we all said. But something like that, sure, we can defend the game and give him actual facts about the game. You know, ask him if he likes the game this way. I don't think the game is for Peon. I don't. So he can not like the game, right? But him spreading kind of that false kind of information where it just almost seems like he was besmirching the company in a way. That is something that the community actually went ahead and defended, and he took the video down. And, you know, as I feel for Peon, I feel for him for that. You know, everybody bombarded him. He said he was going to get mixed. No, he got purely negative on that. And I guess he wasn't expecting that. There's no need for him to apologize or anything like that. It's just that the way he played the game was he didn't play the game. He just didn't play the game at all. And he only tried to get to in-game. He doesn't like the kind of game that is 14. And that's okay. And he can form that opinion. And if you don't like 14, that's fine. Scott didn't say he disliked 14. Scott just said he was dissatisfied with Eden. And he's questioning whether if content like that is just going to be a thing, if that's going to actually keep him. And that's a good question to have, because that's the same questions we've had since Stormblood. And it's kind of the same thing that happened to me, where I fell off of 14 because Stormblood just wasn't satisfying for me. And so I left the game for a while. And if Scott happens to do that in Shadowbringers, it's because 14 just didn't satisfy his taste for that, you know? Everybody has their own opinion. Everybody has their own criticism. Now, the next thing I do want to talk about is elitism, which is kind of poisoning 14. Going into, like, Innocence and Titania is hard to actually complete without a static or a bunch of friends, because when you get in there, someone who's just so elitist, if you get somebody like that, it's just almost impossible to do the raid, because you have to play this certain way. They're not going to budge because that's the way that they've been taught, or that the way that they've been playing. Like how people either want, tanks healer north instead of south, because in my opinion, if you have a bunch of melee DPS, right, and you're doing Titania, why not have DPS north and tank healer south? Wouldn't that make a lot more sense? I think it would. But people who are elitists have this certain way of thinking, which does kind of poison the community in a bit. You can't play a job a certain way. You have to play it the way of, like, the Holy Bible, that is the balance. You can't change it any kind of way. You have to have potions in your rotation. You have to beat Brutal Shell before, doing all of your OGCDs, right? And I get that. I get that a lot in my video for the Gunbreaker. It's more for, beginners to get into, but for whatever reason, it's not the right way to play Gunbreaker. I am disavowed. I don't know how to play the game. Don't listen to me, because, I didn't do the rotation right. But, and also, mitigation for Gunbreaker is just as good as all the other tanks, right? Yeah, right, because, Paladin doesn't exist, Warrior doesn't exist, and the Blackest Knight doesn't exist. But, telling people that, it just, they want to deny it. Either they're, like, the most elitist whatever in the game, it just doesn't make sense. Sometimes people don't want to actually budge in their way of thinking. It's always this rotation. It's always this way of playing the trial. It's always this way, or it's the highway. And the fact that people can't seem to think outside of their box, people who just want to stick to this certain way of playing, it just kind of poisons the game. Because what if a new person comes in and you're telling them you have to play it this way, but then they discover something else, right? The way that they like to play. But it's the wrong way, apparently. And that's just elitism. That's just elitism in itself. White knighting, it's something that's not necessary for 14. Not at all. 14 doesn't need white knights. 14 is probably one of the best MMOs in this day and age. Like, it's probably like top 5 or top 3 on somebody's list. If not, it's number 1 or something. Then you don't need to white knight Final Fantasy XIV. If somebody has an opinion in 14, you don't have to defend it to a point where you're getting somebody suspended. It's just dumb, it's stupid, and honestly, you're kind of garbage for it, to be honest. You're kind of garbage. And for the elitists out there, I'm sorry, but your way of thinking is not everybody else's way of thinking. You're literally, like, what, 5 or 1% of the total population of players in 14. And I get it, though. I definitely get it. If you want to play in-game, the way that you were taught, get a static that has your same way of thinking, okay? Just get a static that does that, right? Find a static that does that. If you're going to do a party finder, you're going to have to, stretch your imagination a bit. Learn to lean on a different side. Try to take in different opinions. It's not always going to have to be tank healers north. Sometimes it has to be south, because all the DPS are melee. Okay, honey. All right, Scott. I feel for you. I don't know you personally. I want to talk to you, man. I actually want to sit down and have a conversation. I think we would be cool buddies. But thank you, Work2 Games, for doing your thing. Thank you for spreading the information. Scott, I hope you get all of your stuff back to where it was. Congrats on making partner. Spread the word so I can get mine, okay? And everybody, what is your opinion on white knighting and elitism? What is your opinion on that? Because, to be honest, if this keeps going, we're literally going to poison the community to a point where we're going to start looking a little bit like World of Warcraft. Or League of Legends, which I hope that never happens.